What is going on, everybody? I'm Chris Daly, joined here by Lucas Francis and James Davis, and this is the FC Monmouth podcast. We are back for a full season review. It's been a while since we've had the podcast, but super pumped to be back behind the mic, back in front of the camera, talking about the blue and gold. It was an eventful year, to say the least. The first year of the women's team, which is really the big headline for this podcast, as well as, an up and down men's season. Really started off great, and then, of course, some tough losses at the end killed the playoff hopes, but a great season nevertheless, and a lot more great things to come this year. So we have James, the general manager, to talk about that, and of course Lucas, founder of the 732, on as well. So without further ado, James, let's just talk about this season. We started off away to Philly with a tough loss, but then followed up with some big wins. So how did you think the season went overall, having been with the team now for a couple years and really seeing everything?
Yeah, I think we took a lot of big strides this year. Obviously, going away to the Union to start the season was very tough. There's many arguments that are always made about when should the first week of the season be. I mean, you're going to have issues with people not being back from school, people not being fit. Every team has to deal with it. So aside from like a Union side that has a lot of a very heavy youth presence, so that might have been a tough matchup to start with. It was tough for our guys to battle in that one. It was a really hot day from what I remember. It was close to 100 degrees, but I thought they bounced back well in the first 2 or 3 games that followed that. They really fought their own throughout the start of the season and really sort of made their own presence known that pretty much we could have hanged with anybody throughout the entire year.
Yeah. Lucas?
I mean, it was a pretty interesting season. Definitely, we got a little bit of a curse with 2 red cards towards the end. That kind of messed up our playoff hopes. But, Johnny was doing Johnny things, scoring a lot of goals. Andrew Arroyo going through the midfield, cooking people, playing beautiful balls. So, yeah, it was an interesting season. Definitely not what I would have liked, but it was fun nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think, too, when you talk about, like what James said with the college guys going against, and I feel like Motown and Lions are kind of the 2 teams to beat in the Keystone East, and it's one of the most competitive conferences in the whole league, so you really have to take that into account as well. And the first half of the season was great. I think some injuries, people not being there for certain games, of course, hurt towards the end, and of course, as you mentioned, the red cards. I mean, a red card is a red card. It's really going to hurt your chances for any game. And that was kind of the story of the end of the year. But to start the year, the 3-1 win against Westchester, a huge 2-1 win against Atlantic City. And of course, we actually went there, the Motown game, where we got told to silence yourselves. We were the only fans really there.
7-2 was too loud. They couldn't handle us.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, it was a fun year, and I want to ask you both, what was your favorite game of the year? Do you have anything in mind? We'll start with James.
Oh, starting with me, I think most fun game of the year. I'd probably say the last game against Motown, the home game. I mean, it's our fan appreciation night the past 2 years has been our not only our most attended game, but I would say our most energetic game. The year prior, it was a lot of people's first answers, their favorite game as well, just because not only the result, but just the crowd was so into it, and it felt like a lot of the same this year as well. Obviously, it's another good result to get a draw against the national runners-up in Motown, who have obviously a very good team. But again, off the field, there was a lot of great things that happened in that game as well.
Honestly, the 3-1 win against Westchester is my favorite. In the rain, cold Wednesday night, 7-2 was bumping. We ended up destroying them 3-1. Fun game to watch. That was my favorite one. It's probably my favorite Monmouth game I've ever been to.
You got another noise complaint at that game
I
as
did.
well.
2 noise complaints this year.
Back to back.
That's how you know you made it as a supporters group, when you get noise complaints.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's so many games to choose from. I did miss a game this year, so I will have to say, the Monmouth Motown. I mean, I had just returned from a trip away, and to see that draw against Motown, it was really cool. And then, actually, I put it on Twitter after Dilly Duca is their head coach, and it was 6 years ago today, August 4th, when we're filming this, that I actually took a picture with Dilly Duca. He was by far the best player on the pitch. Motown lost against Miami in the championship, but I took a selfie after the game, and first I looked like a midget, and then I towered over him, which was cool to see, I guess, in terms of growing these past 6 years. But that's kind of been my journey as a Monmouth fan, and then, of course, with the team. So Not to steal James' answer, but 1-1 against Motown. Any point against Motown is a great, fantastic point. So that definitely has to be my favorite game of the year as well. Now, for both of you, again, asking another question, favorite player of the year, not necessarily the best player, but who do you like watching the most, or who do you maybe relate to for you as a player back in, our glory days of high school? Lucas, you can go first here.
I have two answers. My most fun player to watch is Davi Caputo. Just the way he dances around defenders, he's just very technically sound, and it's just fun to watch, honestly. And then his other Rowan boy, Johnny Troiano, putting goals on the back of the net. You can count on him anywhere, header, right foot, left foot, anything, he'll put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all the goals, the assists, all the flashy passes, they get all the love. Our very best defender, I'd say, this season was probably Jack Longo, and I appreciate defending a lot. So our coach, John Killick, called him Mr. Consistent throughout the entire season, and always, especially at the fullback position, which always generally doesn't get a lot of love. So I thought he played pretty well throughout the year, which was fun to see him really step up his game this summer after having a tough injury in the year prior.
Yeah, I actually saw Longo at a Monmouth game one time. He was supporting some of his friends with the brace on, and I was like, oh no, this is terrible for the season. But he had a phenomenal season, great, fantastic player. I should have probably prepared an answer myself for this question. There's so many. I mean, as you said, Davi's super fun to watch. So is Johnny. Oh, man. I love Mason in the back, though. Beginning of the season, too, Flynn was very strong. Like, all of our center backs, I thought, had a solid season all around. So
Max was fun to watch in goal.
Yeah, Max.
Really like Max.
Yeah, he was good. So a lot of the players, I really just shouldn't have asked this question because I can't even choose. But, yeah, a lot of talent on display this year. And now, as for next year, what are we looking forward to the most for the 2025 season, which seems like a dystopian year, although it's a year away. But 2025 season, what are we looking forward to the most? James, you could kick us off here.
Ooh, looking forward to the most. I just think it's going to be another year of growth. Obviously, our player pool changes in and out. We have some returners every year, but it will be a lot different from this past year. I guess we'll probably get into our head coach, John Killick, stepping down as well, which he's had an amazing, I would say, even 7-8 years from starting all the way up as kit man for the team in the team's inaugural season all the way up to head coach for 3 years. But obviously with him not being there, things will probably change culturally wise. My answer, honestly, would probably be I'm most excited for the women's team. If I'm going to be quite honest, they had a really strong season. They were 5-1 this summer, and their only loss was to literally a last-second goal against a really good Philadelphia Ukrainians team. So I really think they're going to be making a big statement in whichever league they end up in next summer.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking forward to announcing those games. That's something I really am looking forward to next year because, I mean, for me as an announcer, doubling the amount of tape I can get and experience I can get at a young age, so to say, is definitely beneficial. And then, of course, the more soccer, the merrier. My sister, who loves soccer, she's going to be a freshman. It's very good for her, to see these kids that are girls rather than, of course, the boys of FC Monmouth. I mean, just to look up to these girls. And she looked up to some at the high school level. There's 2 Wall goalies, and we all go to Wall on my family. So, yeah, I mean, that will be super fun next year. I will say what I'm looking forward to the most, so it's kind of just the beginning of a new era, and it's not even anything having to do with the coaching. I know the coaching, the situation's different, but I feel like there's going to be a sense of, really wanting to compete next year. I feel like that's something within the culture. These past couple of years, it's been building, and it's been getting to a point where we could get players to come in year after year, and I feel like the culture has been built for that moment, and this has kind of been the platform these past couple of years, and now the house is finally going to be built next year. So I'm looking forward to that, and really to watch Monmouth take it to a whole new level. I really believe they can, and there's a lot of, New Jersey's such a talented state with soccer. There's no reason why we can't. So I feel like that will probably be my favorite thing to watch, really just the growth of this team. Lucas?
I'm excited for how Monmouth is just going to be a part of that soccer summer next year. I mean, even this summer, there's all the friendlies, Copa America, Euros, everything. Next year, we have the Club World Cup coming in. MLS, of course, goes through the whole summer. NWSL, Club World Cup's going to be there. NPSL is going to be happening, best league. And we're going to watch some Monmouth soccer, and it's just fun to watch local soccer. Go out on a Saturday night, get in the stadium for what, $10? Yep. Watch some good, high-quality soccer.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It's a big reason why I feel like Monmouth definitely appeals to so many people, and that's another thing I'm looking forward to next year is the fans that we created this year are coming back next year, and it wasn't even just youth fans. It was kind of like some adults. I mean, what we did with Monmouth Rugby Club was super fun, going out there before the game and having those guys come in, so the more the merrier at Count Basie Park is what I always say, and I'm looking forward to that aspect of it as well next year, especially with those double headers. And now, James, you did mention the coaching change. Can you talk to us about that, the process of that, and just anything you could comment on about the new era of FC Monmouth?
Yeah, I think I wanted to start by, again, saying thank you to John. It's been an amazing time being able to not only learn from him, but to work alongside him as well. I consider him more of a friend than a coworker at this point in time. He really is awesome. The assistants as well, Reese, Seamus, and Pio did a great job this season. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of there. A lot of people joke on Twitter when there's a coaching change involved, and they call it like search season or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we're kind of down in the midst of it right now, but I think it'll turn out well, and it'll end up being something that not only the players but the fans will be excited for next summer.
James, can we expect Greg Berhalter to take helm at Count Basie next year?
A very defiant no on that one. Not even because we won, but I think the fact that we are both coinciding with the U.S. men's national team's coaching search as well might hurt our chances with some candidates, but we'll see.
Klopp rejected the U.S. so he could come to Count Basie.
100%.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, we're extending an offer soon.
That'll be something. And speaking of Pio real quick, but before actually I even say the story, a huge thank you to Killick. I was texting him the other day, just top guy, and it's been super fun working with him. The whole time I've worked with FC Monmouth, he's been the coach. Before him was Brian Wood, so we've only had 2 coaches in 7 years, and if you really look at it, I mean, that's some pretty good stability. There's a lot of turmoil at that position usually in many other clubs, so again, speaks to the culture FC Monmouth has built. But then for Pio, I didn't even know this until we filmed the podcast. His dad owns my local pizzeria I've been to probably a billion times. It's probably not good to say. But anyways, I eat a lot of pizza there, and every time I walk in, his dad goes, FC Monmouth win? Like, he always asks me about it, and he's got that thick Italian accent. Can't really understand him half the time, but I always say, like, we're doing good. We're trying hard, and he's a big Napoli fan, so I learned about Napoli as well to talk to him about that. But that was another fun moment of the year for me. And now let's just hop straight into it. How about with our player of the years? We kind of talked about who we like to watch the most, but we have some defined answers about who we really thought was the best out there on the pitch. And we're going to start off with the women's team, and James is going to take it away to tell us about some of the star players there.
Yeah, so I think on the defensive end, there was a ton of studs on the women's team. I think I'm pretty sure in saying this, our oldest player on our roster, Amber McGee, who just graduated from Post. It's always a funny story with her. After the first game that we played against Real Central, Coach Lou likes to say she went over to him and literally asked, is there an age limit on playing in the league? Because she wanted to keep playing next year. And it's awesome things to say to hear from players, obviously being that aspirational, and obviously would love to have her back. But she was really establishing a presence back there. We had a very younger group on the women's side. I would say I would say a small percentage, but a decent amount of players were either seniors or some. We had a few players that were juniors in high school as well. So she really established kind of like a senior presence of, I always just say, just getting stuck in or giving that little elbow, that little shove that some people really kind of need as a wake-up call that you see in the NPSL or you see in your other adult leagues, that it's like sometimes the best players, they really can't even handle these levels, even though because they might be the most talented player on the pitch, but just the physicality of it is something that's really unprecedented from this nationally. I would say you don't really see it too much at the youth level, so she definitely was a huge help to the women's side. Sophia and Ava Gianella, the sisters, also very solid. Ava had to leave because she was in the GA Cup finals, which I think she made it to the Final Four with IMG. So big congratulations to her. She's committed to Northeastern, is looking really good, has another year of high school as well. And as I said, Sophia played excellently throughout the season as well. So I would say another honorable mention back there. Peyton Mara was another one that played really well. She's going back to the Mount. And yeah, we're kind of excited on that one. So Amber McGee was our player of the year for our women's side.
Yeah, and can you just talk about Amber a little more too, about just her talent out there and what you expect from her next year?
Yeah, I mean, if she comes back, I think it'll be really promising. Just again, holding down the fort on the defensive side, as we like to say, and leading from the back with that experience. We'll give another shout out because if we want to consider our goalkeepers, our defenders, I thought they all played well throughout the season. Sage and Nelly from Wall, obviously, as you know, as well as Cami Kennedy at Rutgers and Abby Callas at UMBC. So they all played excellently when they were chosen for their moment throughout the season as well.
Yeah, 100%. And now just to jump into the men's side, if that's good with you here, me and Lucas could talk a little bit about it, but we mentioned him already. James said favorite player of the year. For defender of the year, none other than Jack Longo from Ithaca. A CBA guy. I feel like half the team are CBA guys. Every time I announce a game, I try to research the players. I'm like, man, that's why I hate CBA. They're just too good. It's a dynasty. But besides my hatred for CBA, we could talk about Jack Longo at the fullback position. He was really just everywhere again, up and down the flank that he was really put on. Usually, I believe, right on the left. He was on the left-hand side, but Longo,
right, yeah.
or right side, yeah. And then Tappy on the left. Those two had such a phenomenal year, but Longo, he's just everywhere. A super athletic guy, super fast. He really didn't let many people get by him, which is a big thing, and his distribution was really, really good this year. A very strong player, and I feel like for the whole season, he was the most consistent player. And he may have not been the flashiest or the best, but I think game in, game out, you could always expect a good performance from Jack Longo, and without further ado, he is the Defensive Player of the Year. Lucas, what are your thoughts on Longo? And if you want to talk a bit about the midfield as well.
Yeah, Longo is super consistent through the year. I mean, that's what you want in a defender. You don't want they could be scoring goals and making big passes, but at the end of the day, if they mess up once in a game and a goal gets let in, season could be over. It's 3 points out the window. So consistency is very important when you're a defender. So that's the best part about him. But for the midfielder of the year, we had to go with Andrew Araya. I mean, super flashy, South American guy, plays for NJIT, also went to my local high school, Ocean, so I've known him for a couple years now. And yeah, he's one of the best I've ever seen play and probably one of the best in the state.
Yeah, and you mentioned super flashy. I feel like, and I'm not even arguing with you here, but I honestly, sometimes he's just super simple, which is the biggest thing with Andrew. I think that was a huge thing watching from like a bird's eye view in the box, just seeing how he's always checking his shoulder and the passes he makes. I mean, he always knows where he's going to pass the ball. And of course, that's something you learn at a young age, but at this higher level, that was huge for Andrew. And what we really kind of did was the fullbacks would push up, and Andrew, he didn't get too much into the offensive side only because he was kind of that third center back at times. But I thought he did super well, especially with the free kicks. I mean, we've seen that video of his assist off the corner kick. So everything he did this year, it was super well done. And again, a consistent guy, game in, game out for FC Monmouth. All 10 of the season, Andrew was there. He really didn't miss a game, and he was always working hard and doing very well. James, what are your thoughts now, watching from the touchline about Andrew?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's sometimes simple is best, and he does that really well. You want to you can give shout outs to other guys. I thought, if you want to talk about consistency, I thought Jake Homowitz was also extremely consistent at the midfield role, and then it's a weird spot that Devi Caputo kind of gets stuck in, because you can kind of say he's like a second forward. Sometimes he was playing out wide throughout the season. It was kind of a tough situation for him, but again, give another shout out to him because I thought he played really well. Osman also went through a lot of injuries throughout the year, but he played well when he was able to be there. So I mean, just getting back to Andrew as a great character, really just in terms of all around midfielder, offensively obviously providing with the assists like you said, but again defensively also probably hustling the hardest out of anybody on the field. So it was a good pick.
Yeah, no. Lucas, attacker of the year.
Has to be John Triano. And actually, so you guys said that the headline was the women's team, John Killick stepping down. My headline personally was that John shaved his head mid-season. That's a big thing. And I was talking to his mom about it. She wasn't a fan of either, by the way. Super nice woman. But it worked. He ended up scoring how many goals? 5?
It's 7.
7?
Summer.
7 goals. So, yeah, he had to be the attacker of the year.
But yeah, and he didn't even just score in the NPSL games. He scored against Ocean City, if that's correct.
Yep.
Wasn't down there. But yeah, he had a great year. Funny you mentioned that. I was announcing the game, and I was looking at my sheet. I'm like, who is that? I usually just know the players by their faces, and it's usually the other team I need to look for the numbers for. And I'm like, he turned around. I'm like, no way, that's Johnny. That's crazy. But yeah, he had a great season. 7 goals. It really just speaks for itself. Efficiency is really what you want up there. Someone that's just going to knock them away. And what I love most about John, the biggest thing my biggest pet peeve is the amount of offsides I feel like every team kind of has, and this was an issue for Monmouth in recent years as well. I felt like always being called offsides. He really held his run at a perfect time, and I feel like that was a large contributor to the reason why he scored so many goals is because he perfectly times his runs, and then they had the midfielders to show for it to pass him the ball. You mentioned Davi Caputo. There was one game where Davi assisted Johnny, and then Johnny assisted Davi. It's that own connection, but just those two were so spectacular on it. Maybe he could have had more if he didn't try to chip it so much. I felt like there's a couple of times where and I love it because, I always try to chip it over my friends at the fields, but no, he had a phenomenal year. There's really no complaints at all to John. Phenomenal year, and hopefully we can have him back next year.
Yeah, I think just getting back to what you said about the runs, it's interesting. A lot of the goals he scores are either almost identical or they're like flipping on the other side of the field. It's just that diagonal run. It's the simple diagonal run that we say to so many people. You look at the Motown goal on the 1-1. It's almost identical to the goal he scored against the Nor'easters, the goal he scored against the Lions. It's like it's out and out, and you think that defenses would realize this, but he always finds a way. So I'm really proud of him for that. On the women's side, for our midfielders, we ended up going with Victoria Pangelo, so a very good player, Vicky. It was a little strange sometimes because either sometimes she wouldn't start or sometimes she was coming off the bench, and regardless of what position she was in, it was always like a huge burst of energy on the field. You could always tell it was she was going to be a difference maker, and you could tell she was kind of setting the tone. Not the tallest person on the field sometimes, so not really you wouldn't expect it in terms of a presence. But then next thing you know, she's ripping shots from 30 yards out and scoring some great goals. So had a hat trick in the last game of the season against Real Central, which she had a goal called off the line, but we're counting it. So that was a hat trick from midfield. So one of our leading goal scorers on the women's side, and then a lot of great midfielders to choose from in that entire group. It really was tough, and they're all going off. Most of them going off to college, either this summer or next summer. Kiki, Reese Paget, Peyton Gallagher, all these great players coming down the middle, and then we had some great winger play as well. But I think honestly, I would say on the men's side, it was probably toughest in the midfielder position, but in the forward position for the women's side, it was probably the toughest call to make for forward of the season. But after a resounding number of votes, our most voted player by like a mile out of anybody was Sonny Dielmo. So Sonny was a rock star up top. Had some chances that I think Coach Lou thinks she should have scored throughout the summer. I think she knows that as well. But scored some great goals throughout the summer, and really another forward that really played well was Juliana Kakamo, who scored the first goal in FC Monmouth women's history as well. So she played great up top, bagging a bunch of goals as well there. So really, there was a ton of great play all around between both the men's and the women's side throughout this summer, and it forced some tough decisions, but at the end of the day, those were our players of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Tough decisions. A good way to describe it there. And I really appreciate the insight. Was really looking forward to all the women's games next year, whatever league that may be. And now I have two more questions for you guys. One, FC Monmouth trivia, and then number two, just a general FC Monmouth question. But number one, and I just thought about this as you mentioned the first goal in history, James. Who has the first goal in FC Monmouth men's history?
Is it Brian Hawkins? Is it or Nibs?
It might be Nibs. I thought it was Danny Vicente.
Yes.
Fact check it.
No. I think you might be right.
Yeah, I believe it was Danny Vicente. Went on to play in the Nisa, a couple professional teams. I know he played for New Amsterdam, but yeah, Danny Vicente, first ever goal for FC Monmouth. Great talent.
Good question.
Thanks. And now, finally, last question. I'll start with my answer here personally, but in one word, can you describe this FC Monmouth season? And it could be about all the teams. I'm just kind of tailoring this one for me personally to the men's, just as I covered this team this whole year. But my answer would be transformative. Reason so, we mentioned it before, of course, with the beginning of a new era. And I think this year was kind of the first year of that era, the culture shift here at FC Monmouth into a winning culture. And for much of the season, in a playoff spot or at least number 3, we're really going for it at the end of the year. As Lucas mentioned, a couple of red cards were tough to deal with at the end, but that's just part of the game, and you have to deal with the cards that are played out in front of you. But transformative, I feel like would be a good word to describe this year. Lucas?
Hopeful. I mean, if you look at all the scores, we have them up right here. It's a lot of close one-goal games. So, I mean, maybe if we don't get those red cards or whatever, you can blame a red card, you can blame whatever. It showed that we can stay with these teams. I mean, if you even got a point against Motown, that's a really tough opponent. Only lost to Jackson by 1 goal. Like, it's a hard thing to do. So it shows that next year, under a new coach, new era, maybe things can go our way. We'll see what happens.
I think my answer would be, and I'll focus a little bit more on the off the field stuff, trend setting, in a sense that, again, I think I talked about this with you guys the last time that we spoke, just the things that we do that no other team does in a sense, whether it be all of our home games had theme nights this year, all the things that we're able to give out and throw away to the fans, and really make it an atmosphere. We're not just, obviously at the end of the day, everybody wants to win, but we're not just showing up to win. We're here to create an environment on and off the field that's very professional, and I think we really set the bar for other teams to try to emulate, and I think we saw that throughout the season. Some teams around the state are trying to do what FC Monmouth does best, and I think that's, honestly, I don't consider it annoying or weird. I consider it as a compliment, because when you see teams trying to emulate what you're doing, that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, well, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Also, James, I will have to say, I loved the video. Probably my favorite video we posted all year of you giving out the pizza. I thought that was a great video. Pretty cool. We always have kids at the park, and that was just cool to see. I mean, how they lit up when you gave them the pizza. So that was really cool, and just a small part about why FC Monmouth is so great. But that's really all I had. And James, I know we have a big interview after this, so if you want to take us away with that. But for me and Lucas, we will be signing off. We thank you so much for watching the FC Monmouth podcast, and we will be back several times throughout the off season, of course, and then into the next year we go. But thank you so much, and podcast is not done yet, as James will talk about. But Lucas, anything you want to say?
No, just want to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you. And James, take it away.
All right, let's transition over to other James with Leo Cervantes of Chilangos. Welcome back, everybody, to FC Monmouth Podcast. I am graciously welcomed by Leo. How are you, my friend? Good?
Jimmy, how you doing?
We're reversing roles here. I'm on the opposite
I know,
side.
I feel weird, because I'm usually the one doing it.
And now you're on the flip side, right? So why don't we just jump right into this? I mean, Leo is an awesome friend of FC Monmouth. We have right here, this is the sleeve of the 2024 FC Monmouth away shirt, which is awesome. They are all on sale currently online at the Icarus team store that you can get. It's an awesome new logo that they've got. We're going to get some awesome shots of the restaurant and kind of really just tell the Chilangos story. So, I mean, I will kind of leave it to you, because I feel like you're the best storyteller yourself. Kind of give a little bit of a background about yourself right now, and then we'll kind of dive into it a little bit.
Well, first of all, when you said shots, I mean, what comes to my head right away is tequila shots. Because, every time someone says shots, I already know what people want. But I know what you're talking about. Nothing. Chilangos has been here in Highlands for 23 years. It's been a long journey. I have one of those stories. I came from Mexico in 1989. I started out as a dishwasher at Cypress Inn restaurant in Guanamasa. Didn't know English. Made my way out. Dishwasher, boss boy, prep guy, kitchen, banquet sous chef at the Shadowbrook. I started Chilangos in Long Branch 25 years ago. Little place, 6 tables, crazy. I had 2 jobs. And then one day I got a letter from a realtor, business opportunity in Highlands, New Jersey. Restaurant equipped with an apartment, parking lot, and liquor license. Selling price $325,000, which maybe I had not even the $5,000. But life is about opportunity. I always talk about when opportunity comes, you have to be ready. I'm a hyper guy. I'm always looking into things. Money is not my drive. I have passion for what I do. So when I talk about opportunity, I'm not talking about necessarily money, but I'm talking about anything, any kind of opportunity. You got to be ready. You got to be hungry. You got to be ready to take to make it happen yourself. Totally. So that's what I've been doing for the past 25 years, or 35 since I came from Mexico. Today, Chilangos is known around. We carry 275 different tequilas in the house, 12 different types of Mexican beer. I've done Food Network. I've done cooking competitions. I've done a lot of crazy things. I'm very, very happy to say it because it's been difficult, but at the same time it feels good knowing that you did it.
Totally.
So this is how I feel about what I do. I have the passion for it, and I understand that you guys have the passion for what you do. I used to play soccer when I was in Mexico.
That's awesome.
I was 13, 14 maybe, and I liked it. But difficult to live off of it in Mexico. You have to be really, really good. Today, I just like to watch it on TV and to listen to you guys.
Yeah, so, just talking about recent events, they just had the Taste of Highlands a couple weeks back from the time of this shooting, and it seems like there's always some awesome new faces floating in and around. And the first thing people say is, you walk in the restaurant, you see all the awesome stories on the walls, everybody's first thought is, what's Chilangos? What does Chilangos mean? What does it stand for? What is your go-to when people ask you that question?
The name Chilangos, is nothing but a nickname. Back in the day, when people from Mexico went to live to or moved to Mexico City, they will be called Chilangos, people that moved in from other parts of Mexico. It got transformed. Today, if you are from Mexico City, you are a Chilango. It's nothing different than, how do you call them, Bennies? People come,
Bennies from New York.
Bennies from New York, whatever.
All these people
Bennies,
in the shore.
Right. Bennies, Chilangos.
Yeah.
It's nothing but a nickname. I am a Chilango. I'm from Mexico City. Every day I talk about the perception, and this is a great opportunity. I've been talking about Mexico City for a long time. The perception here or around the world is negativity, blah, 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 blah. I have TVs here. I always play videos of Mexico City. People come in, oh my God, look at Spain, how beautiful. Oh, look at Italy, look at this. No, that's not Italy, that's not Spain, that's Mexico City. What? Big city, twice the size of New York City, the second city with most museums in the world.
That's awesome.
Very cosmopolitan, the architecture is top of the line, very clean, very safe. So I always talk about Mexico City proudly and Mexico in general. I'm from Mexico. We're hardworking people. A lot of us, as you know, we come to work. We have the passion for food, for culture, for being nice, for being hardworking people, and I can say it proudly.
Yeah, the passion that you just mentioned is something that we talk about a lot when we're in here, and I could obviously see it a lot in you. Really making a decision to leave Mexico. It's a huge risk. A lot of information that you need to know, a lot of decisions that you need to make. What really went into that? What was kind of going through your mind at that point of your life? Kind of take us through the story of really how do you end up in New Jersey, so to say?
I wrote a book, Chilangos in the House. You can find it on Amazon. I'm going to advertise it now.
Yeah, do the plug. We love
Chilangos
it.
in the House. You'll find it on Amazon. It's my life story. When you talk about the American dream, right? Being an 18-year-old guy in Mexico, 1980s, very difficult, very corrupted. Let's say it like that, corrupted, lack of opportunity. Some people, we all live in bubbles, right? Whether you're rich, powerful, famous, whatever, or poor, or whatever. We all live in bubbles. And the bubble where I came from, it was it was the Patterson of Mexico City, right? Mm-hmm. Very difficult, but I always knew somehow or thought that something was missing. Something was missing because I don't know, something's missing. So I had the opportunity to. It's a long story. I'm not going to tell you the story because you got to get the book. But when you think about opportunity, when you talk about the United States, when you know that there's something else somewhere else waiting for you, you don't know what it is until you come and you start looking and you get a job, and then you start making money. Which I tell you the truth, I don't work for money. I need money. I understand that. But no, it's called passion. I remember that they took me to do construction for a couple of days. I didn't enjoy it.
Me neither. Don't tell my dad.
I know. Landscaping under the sun. It wasn't my thing. I would do it if I had to, of course. But I will never forget the day they took me to a restaurant and they said they're looking for dishwashers. I said, what's a dishwasher? So it's in English. Mm-hmm. Lavaplatos. Oh, sure, I can wash dishes. Mm-hmm. So I will never forget the day we went through the back door of Cypress Inn restaurant in Guanamasa. Hi, Nick Covell. And they opened up the back door and I saw craziness, madness, dishwashers and the chef throwing things and screaming and sweating and the cooks going and waitresses running. When I saw that window open right in front of me, I was like, this is it. Action. I am action.
What you're here for.
I was just telling Cesar in the back, I said, I love Mondays. We close the restaurant, but at the same time, what do? I got to do something. And I'm a hyper guy.
Yeah.
I love what I do, and that's why, I'm here at Chilangos all the time, making sure that everybody's treated like family, making sure that everybody gets to understand and know about culture. Part of my job is to educate people when it comes to tequila, when it comes to who I am, where I come from, my culture, my country. Today it's a total different place. I support the government now. Beautiful. They're doing great things. Mexico is shining. The economy is doing better than ever every day. Lesser and lesser Mexicans come to the U.S. Now it's mostly, South Americans or people from all over the place. But it feels good knowing where I come from. I love knowing where I came from, where I'm standing today. I don't know where I'm going. I could die tomorrow. Therefore, I always talk about enjoy life, do your thing, smile, come on, don't be miserable. You only live once. We have from 0 to 100 maybe. What do you want to do here? It's just this little time. What do you want to do? I want to be happy. I want to do what I love. I want to respect people. I want to help out. I want to give back to the community. I want to travel. I want to get to know people. That's my life. I love it. I wouldn't change it over anything.
It's just so funny, just again talking about the parallels of whether it's a restaurant or a soccer team, anything like that. You talk about A, the passion, B, wanting the craziness of just how you said on a Monday. That's how I feel on a Sunday when our game's over after a Saturday night. I'm like, oh, it all just happened, but I'd 100% do it again. You know what I mean? And I'm itching for the next moment. I'm sure you, as much as sometimes you might dread a weekend if there's a big rush coming in, when you're in the moment, you love it, and it's what you do. And you see all the people. When you see all the people in the amazing restaurant that you've got, it's when we see all the people in the stands. It's who you do it for, and it's really what it's all about. And you could basically say it's life. It's the passion. It's for the love of the game, we like to call it, whether the game is soccer, or food, whatever. So it's great. You talked about really just kind of going through the struggles and the craziness at the start. Do you want to really kind of pinpoint, because for me personally, I feel a lot of similarly jumping into something as crazy as like running a soccer team, whether when you had Highlands for the first time. Just how was it handling some of the challenges that first year 1, 2, 3, just to kind of get your ground, you know what I mean? And I don't know if there's a story that just represents that and getting through it, you know?
Big time. Before I answer to that one, I got excited because a lot of times I get asked, Leo, what's the most difficult part of your job, right? And a couple of times the first thing that comes to my head is like, at the end of the night, when you have to say good night to the last table, like you said, the game is over. But then we'll do it again, you know, the next day, and 6 days a week, or 7 or 10 days a week sometimes. The first 3 years, madness. Today you have social media, you do advertisement, you do this, you do a lot of things. Back in the day, it was just me. I jump into this. It's a crazy, beautiful story. And you have to advertise on magazines and newspapers, and they only go to certain place. And the first year, tough, and washing dishes, cooking, making drinks, sitting people down. How you doing? Sit down here. I'll be right back. What would you like to drink? You make the drink. You bring it back. You go back to the kitchen. You cook some. I was doing almost everything myself for a while. So I would never forget. It was like into the third year, 2 years and a little bit more, when I said, I cannot do this anymore. I don't have money. I'm tired of it. I did my Mexican buffet. People come, they say that they love it, but where's everybody else, right? So I have one of the stories with Mr. Bruce Springsteen when I did his event here. And a newspaper came, and then people mentioned Bruce Springsteen, and then Chilangos, and then this, and then all of a sudden, from being depressed and everything, people and more people and more people and more excitement, and I was exhausted. And then all of a sudden, you know, don't give up, just keep doing it. And now I talk about it. Saying it is easy. It's so easy to say, don't give up. But doing it, man, you don't know what you're going to do. Well, I didn't. Thank God. You know, we've been through Sandy. I've been through the first 3 years of Chilangos. We went through the pandemic. We've been through everything. What else? I don't know. We're here. We will do it again. So things like that will make you nothing but stronger.
Yeah, totally. I think it's, again, with the parallels, just some of the losses that we've endured on the field. We've had heartbreaks, being up a goal and then going down a man. I mean, just again, this past weekend we were up a goal and we had a red card, and all these challenges that you face with people on the field. If somebody doesn't show up that day that you were depending on, and then somebody has to do X, Y, and Z, it's like you stand your ground and you have the core and you get through it. And some of the wins that you do get, those are the moments that they keep you going. I like to say when I'm out with my buddies going golfing, it's the one you could have a horrible day, you're hitting the ball into the trees, into the water. It's the one that you get, the one shot on the 18th hole that you get right next to the pin that keeps you coming back every single day. And then as you do it more and more, you get more and more that are good shots. You know what I mean? So it seems like over the years you just develop it and you keep building on that. And what did you say? You're going on year 24 now of this?
23rd into 24.
24, which is amazing. I mean, you've been through the early 2000s, everything with that, recessions. We're going through the current age right now. So, I mean, again, there's probably a million stories with that. But just really, and I know we've spoken on this topic a lot, kind of the idea of perseverance and kind of the newer generation of people my age, especially in sports that we see now, is a big issue is quitting and people not wanting to really push through. And whether, again, might be leaving a team, not finishing their job. A lot of people have the saying, just do your job, do your job, do your job. What really do you see that's kind of fallen off from your generation to people like my age now that are starting to really just get after it in their lives that isn't really there almost in a sense?
All I can say is that this is a different world now. I remember when I was younger, 14, 15, 16, I don't know why I used to hang out with older people. And every time they said, oh, I was born in 1940 something, I was like, whoa, man, this guy is old. Today, when I tell people I was born in 1989, 69, I'm sorry, 89. I wish. No,
You can
no, I
keep
don't.
saying it. People will believe.
No, 1969, right? Some younger people. When? Oh my God, that's like I'm 54 years old. I know I look 40, but that's okay.
I would argue 30.
It's how you feel. But I was talking just to my kids. We went out to dinner yesterday, and I said sometimes I feel bad because I was born in 1969. There was no technology like it is today. I think today people live more stressed about a lot of things. Back then it was fun. We played on the streets. We came up with games and stuff, and I think it was easier. I would think. Today I see kids just want to be on the phone. Today, people talk about it every day.
Yeah.
The watch, this. I want a phone. I want this. You see a bunch of people. I went to Spain. We passed through a school where there was 50 kids outside. Every single kid on the phone. All of them.
It's crazy.
Hello. I don't know. To me, we created stuff to do. We jumped. We did. We played. Technology is good. I mean, social media, computers make things easier. Credit card. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, something's missing now.
It's the trade-off, yeah.
And I see kids. I see people more stressed about a lot of things, and it could be easier to take a big jump, or it could be very easy to go down.
Yeah.
So that's what I see. I'm not saying that it's more difficult. It might be easier in a way, but at the same time, there's more pressure.
Yeah.
I would think, and that's what makes it different to me.
Yeah, totally. Why don't we circle back, and maybe if you have any good stories in mind about the first few times you met myself and my family, and really just I always circle back to when I don't know if even the camera can go this low, but I was this tall down in Keensburg at La Playa, and really kind of talk about where you were at that point in time. I mean, that's going on I think close to 10 years now, it seems like, and just how much, again, times have changed, really, and just over time, just obviously people have different plans in life, people go in different directions. The waves are going to break however they break, but really, would you say you're proud of where you're at right now, and kind of how much things have changed on your end since then, really?
Well, look at years back when I met your grandpa, Jimmy. I still remember that he sat on that table over there. Hey, how you doing? Oh my God, nice place. Blah blah. Hey, sir, how are you? Blah 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 blah. Right. So what do you do? Playgrounds. So he explained to me.
Yeah.
Whatever. He kept coming back. Very nice guy. Very sweet person. You're right. You were little. Very little. I met your dad. Right. Somehow you connect with people that have been through the same thing. I know the story with you guys, grandpa, your father, now yourself. It's been a journey, and the way when we had the interview last time that I did it for you guys, just seeing the 3 generations doing, or different mentalities, different times, but with the same attitude of I'm doing something, something positive. You're not the kid that grew up with what they did, your grandfather and your father, and you just settle and you're fine. No, you're doing your thing. You're doing something totally different, but you're doing it. You have the passion for it. And bro, I have a lot of respect for it. No, listen, it's fun what I do. It's not easy.
No.
You were talking about your team before. How do you? I always talk about a philharmonic. With the, how do you call him, in Spanish is director, but it's not director. In English is the guy guiding everybody.
Of like the fans and stuff, you mean, or?
When you have an orchestra.
Okay, yeah.
You have the guy guiding all the musicians.
Yeah.
How do you call this guy?
Organizer, CEO, everything.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. That's what your father does. That's what I do.
Yeah, totally.
We have to make music here, the kitchen, lights, TVs, sound. You hear the music?
Totally.
Come on, look at people waiting. Give me the table. You are like, come on, go here, go there.
Yeah.
Score, come on.
All over the place.
All over the
crazy.
place. So even though it's different, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Organize, put it together, create, score, make it happen. Be proud and happy.
Yeah. It's the best advice for those of you watching that have been to a game. I mean, you'll see me running around Count Basie Park like crazy, like a maniac, because it's the same thing. And again, I know I keep just referring to the parallels. You see you going up and down, and it's serving food, talking to people, having a good time. It's like those are, you got to make it happen, and that's the most important part. So really, just kind of translating into today's age, you have 3 locations now. Do you want to talk a little bit about those, and then maybe just kind of your goals with everything, over the overarching kind of Chilangos goal going forward?
Very interesting question. I'm 54 years old. I'm not old. I'm not young. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, but I do understand that one day I have to get off the merry-go-round. I understand that. One day I'm going to be selling. Why selling? Because my kids do their own things. They're very happy. They love what they do. I always say, if this is not for you, why are you going to do it? Because you want to continue? No. I tell my kids, be happy, do your thing. They are into different things, and I'm happy for them. This is for crazy people. Restaurant business is for crazy people. I am crazy, and I love it. So it's not that I don't want them to keep it. I'm not saying that. I want them to do their thing. I want them to be happy. I want them to feel the way I do feel with my thing. That's what I want for my kids. So that's my mentality about Chilangos. One day I have to get off the merry-go-round. Maybe you'll buy Chilangos and you become Leo Cervantes. But yeah, that's my mentality. I don't want chains of restaurants. We opened up 2 locations with Monmouth Racetrack at 2 OTB places. Yeah. One in Woodbridge, the other one in Hillsborough. It's more of a sports bar kind of a thing, bar food, Chilangos. But it's not like here where this is the legend. Chilangos, the legend. It feels good. You walk around, you go to places, you get to meet people. But that's how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow somebody will come up and say, "Listen, we got to open up 100 Chilangos. It's here. If somebody wants to do it with me, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Me doing it now and go crazy here for what?
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I am happy. That's my answer to that.
It's a good take, because obviously there's nothing in complacency, because of how hard you've worked to get to where you've gotten, but now you've gotten to a point of where you've built something up, and everybody in the area really does know, and it's, Chilangos down in Highlands, you see all the people coming in, they love it, it's a good time, it's great. And really just kind of, it seems like now where you say you're happy, you get to do some more fun things. So why don't you talk about the upcoming story of, 2026, the World Cup, U.S., Canada, and Mexico. You've had some really cool opportunities so far. Can you tell a little bit of that story of the?
Well, I am with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which is very involved. When they did the announcement about where they wanted to play and everything.
For the New York, New Jersey bid that they were hosting the final when they made that announcement.
At the MetLife Stadium, there was the governor, and I got invited. There was a bunch of people. It's exciting to see excitement. People excited. There was a bunch of people. The governor, the chambers of commerces, and it was interesting. I was just talking to a friend of mine that got invited to be part of the
event,
the organization.
Let's
just say it like that. And she says, "But I don't know anything about it." She's a very well-known person. And I said, "Well, you called your friend Leo and I'll help you." She says, "That's a great idea." That's all I know. So I don't know if it could happen. Maybe, I don't know. But I would love to be. That's something big. That's huge. Not only to you, because you're into this, to the community, to 100%. The state of New Jersey, to the area. The World Cup brings, I was listening, billions and billions of economical opportunities to businesses, to people, to people that come in and travel and get to visit.
You're going to be having Germans coming into Chilangos and enjoying themselves, and it's going to be great.
So I think it's a huge opportunity. The opening of the event is in Mexico City.
The opening game at the
Azteca Stadium. And the final is going to be at MetLife.
It's a full circle moment for it.
Beautiful. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I would love to go to both of them.
I know. We got to go. We got to get there. We got to get there.
We got to make some phone calls. Well, listen, look at my life. My life, I come from tough. I've seen bad things. I've seen okay things. I've seen a spectacular, unbelievable life. had me going through things that are just beautiful. The day I die, I'm gonna die happy. I left a nice legacy. We talked about legacy. My kids are great kids. My life was beautiful. My family, unbelievable. I could die tonight, and I will leave happy, saying,
Yeah.
everything is okay. I'm out.
There was an awesome, just kind of short little video I saw the other day, and the question was to somebody, would you take $10 million right now? Obviously, anybody would say yes. It's the drawback, you die tomorrow. The immediate answer is no. There's not a single person in the world that's going to do that. There is no monetary value to the life that you're living right now, and nobody can put it on that. And the opportunity that we have to be able to do things like this, go to events like this, whether it be through sports, food, everything, it really is just an amazing encompass of what we're all about, you know.
The reason why the world keeps spinning the way it does and things work is because there's crazy people. Somebody will say, yes, I'll take the 10 million and I'll die tomorrow. What are you going to do? Right?
Yeah.
But some people will do that over money. Good luck to you. But that's the beauty of this world. You know, I always talk about, can you imagine if everybody was smart or not smart or bad or good? This wouldn't be a world.
It's not going to be
right.
Yeah.
So we need everybody. I'm not smart. I always talk about common sense. I think God gave me common sense. You know, somebody explained something to me, and I was like, here. In my mind, it's telling me over here for some reason. I call it common sense.
Yeah.
But that's how I see life. That's how I understand it. This is how I enjoy it. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Do your thing. Be happy. Do good things. Help out others. Set up a nice legacy for your family. That's all you leave. You don't take. You don't take anything. You always leave something behind, whether it's great or okay or not good or bad. You know, this is the planet that we live in, and I talk about it every day. Just be happy.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
So really, just to kind of close out, we are incredibly happy to have you as a part of our family. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
It is awesome as well to have Chilangos teaming up with FC Monmouth. As always, you can go get your jersey online at the Icarus Team Shop. And again, check us out at We Are Monmouth on all socials, as well as
Our ChilangosNJ.com, our website. You can go on Instagram, ChilangosNJ, or our new YouTube channel, which is Chilangos in the House. You're going to see crazy, beautiful stories.
So it's all awesome. You could check it all out online. And once again, we are signing off now, but we are so grateful for you tuning in. We will catch you at the next one.
Hasta la vista, baby. We'll see you guys soon at Chilangos, okay?